Welcome into another edition of The Right Side of Campus, the daily show where we put you on the right side. We're here live, breaking it down, Wednesday, October 16th, 2019. I'm your host, the big man on campus, here with my co-host, Donnie Rightside. Donnie, last night, it was a tough go of it from a sports perspective. There was not much to wet our whistle with. You had the game with the Yankees and Astros. That game was over by 7 o'clock or so. You had a little bit of preseason basketball. You had a game in the MLB that was a blow-up pretty early. It was hard sledding last night for any competent sports watching.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you're going to get on some of these days. And, you get a little bit more. I believe you get some college football tonight. You don't have any baseball game today with the rain out. So you're looking for a nice sleep in. Look, this is one of those days, Jeff, which you always preach. Put some time into your weekend capping. It's a perfect day. No distractions. Yeah, no, that's a great point. I know around here,
I know South Jersey, Philadelphia, where I'm at, it looks like rain the rest of the night. So it's going to be a good night to sit back. And I'll actually be on the air tonight, 8 o'clock. Make sure you check that out. Plenty of college football. It's one of the best shows of the week. We'll be talking college football. We'll get into all the games, try to have some fun. Should be a fun night to do it with not much going on. We'll get into Troy, South Alabama. And Donnie, actually, I think there might be an angle in this game we could take a look at. We'll get into that. We'll also talk about some of the big moves in the NFL yesterday in just a second. We got NFL Week 7 to take a look at. We'll get into a couple games there and some of the storylines headed into the weekend and a couple big games in college football, most notably Penn State, Michigan, up in Happy Valley. So a lot to break down. Donnie, let's welcome everyone in. Hope you're having a great day wherever you are. It is 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 12 o'clock in Chicago, 11 o'clock in Denver, Donnie, 10 o'clock in Seattle. Ooh. How about that? And by the way, it's also, I believe, 7 o'clock in Honolulu. So how about that? Donnie, what time is it right now in Kiev?
I'm going to say let's go with 9 o'clock at night.
9 o'clock at night. No, I believe you're a little off. I think it's 7 o'clock. But
that was the right direction, though. Yeah.
Yes. Donnie, also, I'm looking at the weather for Friday night.
Yes.
35.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love to hear it, man.
It's going to be cold, man.
Yeah.
Ooh, a little nippy out of those football games, high school football
games. Yeah, high school. You're damn right, man.
How about that? All right, let's get into the show. We'll start out with some morning headlines here. And we have a couple today, Donnie. Obviously, a big night in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey traded to the LA Rams, a big haul for Jalen Ramsey, 2 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick. Also, keep in mind, yesterday, the Marcus Peters was moved to Baltimore. Definitely a move that will help the Ravens. They needed some help in that secondary with all the injuries. Jimmy Smith, Tavon Young. Yeah. That's a nice get for them. Didn't seem like Peters ever really worked out. So, it doesn't seem like he really works out anywhere he goes. But the big news is obviously Jalen Ramsey. And, Donnie, it's funny. All of a sudden I noticed that as long as he passes the physical, he'll play on Sunday. Looks like that back is fixed all of a sudden. First of all, I got to ask you, your thoughts of the move. Was it too much to give up? And B, when you're looking at a team like the Rams, you're looking at a team like the Eagles, these are 2 teams that think they can compete now. These are teams that feel like they can go and with the right player win a Super Bowl. The problem for the Rams now going forward is going to be, what exactly do you have to replenish a team with, a lot of needs that are going to be needed down the road, and where do you go from here? What do you think about this trade overall?
It's just an odd day because when I saw the move for Marcus Peters gets out of town, I'm basically everybody's synopsis is, it looks like the Rams are giving up. They don't think they can win anything. So then they go out and get Jalen Ramsey and pay an exorbitant price, which the price, depending on where he went, was a little bit different to me. I think the Rams really overpaid because what are you getting with the Rams? Can he play the offensive line? Did I miss something? They're under siege and getting hurt repeatedly on the offensive line. So then you spend major capital and then you go and get a DB when you were okay already at DB. And then it would have been really nice if you got him and you kept Marcus Peters, but you get rid of Marcus Peters. It reminds me a lot about a couple years ago, Jeff, the Philadelphia Phillies. Hey guys, we got Roy Halladay, but we shipped Kliff out of town. What are we doing here exactly?
Yeah.
And why would you do that?
Seems like a lot, at least for them. I think you make a good point. Seems like a lot to give up for a team that is full of a lot of big-time free agents that is going to have to obviously pay those guys. Yeah, it definitely is interesting. I don't think the Rams, even with Jalen Ramsey, are I guess they're a contender, but could Jalen Ramsey play quarterback? Because that seems like to be the problem in LA. The offensive line seems to be a problem, as you said. The pass rush with Aaron Donald is obviously good, but there's still a lot of holes on that defense. I mean, this is a group that gave up 50-plus points to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I ask you, Donnie, if you're the Eagles, would you have made this exact move?
I would have made the move. And the reason being is
because Donnie, real quick, basically you're giving up a pick and a 4th-round pick, because the pick you would have made this year would likely be a corner anyway. So
it's still 2, and you like the cheaper value of the contracts, and that all plays into it down the road. But when you already have your quarterback situation where you have your 10-year Pro Bowl caliber quarterback like the Eagles do in Carson Wentz, you make the move because you have a deep-pocketed owner. Has the Eagles ever gone out and were not smart with how they spent their money? They need to spend big. They spend big. When they need to, maneuver guys around and fit under the salary cap, they always do it. We saw, the Eagles, they're over the cap. Now they're $21 million under the cap, but yet we signed Carson Wentz to a $100 million deal. You can maneuver around as long as you have an ownership that's willing to lay out the cash up front. But the interesting part about it is I thought Jalen Ramsey really made sense. Let's just say we keep the same number, right? 2 first-round picks, 1 4th-round pick. Where it made sense was for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles to pay that because you have everything else in line. Good offensive line. You got your quarterback ready. No devastating injuries outside of, Tyreek Hill needs to come back or Sammy Watkins. And that was an imminent part of the team that you needed at DB. The Rams it's like a luxury pick, and I don't think it makes sense for the Rams.
Yeah, I think when you kind of spin it like that, I do see where you're coming from. It makes a lot of sense. It's funny because Adam, I want to say it was Sal Palantonio was on with somebody on one of the local stations. He was talking about how he wouldn't give up that haul for Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey last year was not particularly good.
Yeah.
He wasn't a particularly good and high-profile cornerback, but he is a guy that could change a team if he's on the right one. How much does he really change LA? Is this kind of just is it much different from Marcus Peters? Is he,
No, and that's a pretty good point Sal Powell brings up because even ratings this year were a little bit down, but you're looking at it from a perspective of he's unhappy and he's checked out at this point. Now he might be re-engaged and get back to that all-pro cornerback that we exactly know. But you're right. Like when you said the Rams, they really need help. You never said they needed help at corner. It's odd. It's odd. It's really odd. And I would have liked the move way more, Jeff, for the Rams if they kept Marcus Peters. But obviously that brings back another point of how shitty of a teammate or just shitty of a guy Marcus Peters is. Thrown out of your college, thrown out of Kansas City, thrown out of the Rams. Like, he must be a really knucklehead, man.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, but you look at the cornerbacks there. I mean, Talib's not exactly been an easy guy to deal with either at times off the field. So, yeah, I mean, this is it seems like a desperate move by the Rams.
And also when you take a look at the NFC West, like if you're you're in like the, I don't know, let's just say NFC South. You got we got to go down the line. You got Michael Thomas, you got Julio Jones. We have nobody to match up with the guy. Who are the 1A wide receivers out in the NFC West that you're really worried about? Nobody owns. I mean, Seattle's got a good set of wide receivers. The Niners, that's not dominant. And Arizona's got an old man Fitzgerald. It's not like, we can't even compete unless we can shut somebody down. I don't get it.
Yeah, obviously an odd move for sure. But yeah, it is what it is. They give up a big haul. Eagles miss out on yet another cornerback that they need.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess we're just going to go with Jalen Mills. That's what we're looking here for. Couple of updates in the MLB, Donnie. No game tonight in the Bronx. This game's rained out. Yankees and Astros. Yankees lose yesterday. A lot of missed opportunities. Had guys on base, had the ability to score runs, but just a little bit, not enough. I mean, Didi Gregorius hit a big fly late in the game, just missed it. It seemed like a just missed kind of game for the Yankees yesterday. The other game, Nationals advanced to the World Series. Yesterday, Donnie, you have to wonder, Bryce Harper, what's he thinking about? I guess then again, he looks at his bank account and says,
"Yeah, like I don't understand this whole thing where I actually get a kick out of it because I can't imagine." And I try to put myself in like the sporting view of what would happen. Like, were we we went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with the Philadelphia Eagles? Were we going, yeah, Vinny Curry, you suck, bro. You went to like, it never crossed my mind that anybody not on the team went.
Well,
like, what are we focused in?
I think it was
I don't even get it.
I think it was just such a high profile thing. And, he left kind of, Washington kind of just to go to another divisional team. And again, it looks like they were better without him.
Like he didn't even like burn any bridges. He always said nice things, and I basically said, "Look, Washington is not paying me nearly as much as the Philadelphia Phillies. I love DC, and I'm out of here." Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of a fun. It's like it'd be like the Philadelphia Philly Eagles, like back in the day when the Eagles didn't offer Reggie White a contract when he was a free agent, went to Green Bay. We always loved Reggie White. We still loved Reggie White when he left. And even after he died, we love Reggie White. And his numbers retired in Philadelphia. We don't hate on the guy for that. It's not his fault. It's not, that the Eagles didn't pay and he left. Oh, my God, I could never respect Reggie White. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Looks like Joe Madden's going to the LA Angels. That looks to be done, which, some people are happy about. Look, I don't have really an opinion on Joe Madden. I don't hate him. I don't like him. Seems like a good place for him. He has won a World Series, so, keep that in mind. But one other thing here, Donnie, before we get into some football and some other things, I know people watch the show after the fact a lot of the time. If you're watching the show right now, do us a favor, hit the retweet button, get it out to people that maybe don't know it's on. Also, Donnie, I wanted to bring this up. I don't know how much you follow this, nor do I know if a lot of people follow this, but we talk about Howard Eskin. We talked about him the other day about the radio guy, and I wanted to bring up another radio guy who I'm pretty sick of, to be real honest with you. Mike Francesa, who, look, I can admit, I've listened to Mike Francesa for years. Being a Yankee fan, I like the New York markets. I like listening to that stuff, and Mike is a guy that I've listened to for a while, but I've become growing majorly tired of Mike Francesa, this kind of prima donna attitude of his. So, Donnie, he was asked to do a pizza review with Portnoy, okay? Keep in mind, those pizza reviews are very popular. They get a lot of views. For a guy in Mike who is very regional for the most part, doesn't get a ton of play really in Iowa or Texas or California. For a guy that's App, who he touted was so great, has now failed, and he's not doing anymore.
He doesn't do it anymore?
No, nobody paid for it, and he cut it loose. Because, again, Mike's so popular and he can act the way he wants. So Portnoy basically says to him, hey, you want to do a pizza review? Mike has put on this prima donna attitude all summer that he's too busy to do it. Now, keep in mind, Mike does nothing all day. He goes to his basement at 3 o'clock and records a show. Mm-hmm. Why can't Mike, who has a driver, by the way, who is he to act this way to anybody? Like, I'm just sick of this attitude with him all the time. Like, and he always makes it clear he's such a dick to everybody. And it's like, well, I'm Mike Francesa. I do what I want. You're not Howard Stern. You're not, anybody. Who is he, Donnie? Mike Francesa. Is anyone else getting as sick as him as me? Like, I just wanted to vent on him because I'm tired of his behavior.
Yeah, no, I don't ever hear about him in Philadelphia, so
That's
I don't know what he does like day to day. Yeah,
but it's like, why not go and like up your profile? But no, you want to act like this fucking.
I mean, he's old though. Like, why would you even want that old guy on like a pizza review anyway? Like, he's
because it would be funny because
kids have no idea who Mike Francesa is. None.
Well, a lot of kids in Barstool Universe do, but again, it would be helpful to him. But either way, it's just annoying from him. He's
like, it wouldn't even be like good fun. Like, you like interesting people to be on there. I don't even understand the point of him being on there. Just, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't move.
I mean, he is funny, but like, I would watch it, but it's kind of old. But all right, Donnie, one other story here. This story is out of Pennsylvania, actually in our neck of the woods here. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a decently big story around here, and it's connected to Torrey Smith, who played here, and it involves his brother-in-law. Now, Donnie, I've talked about, to me, the problem with our country, and we basically give participation trophies to everybody. We're teaching kids that you want to be nice to everybody, and if somebody bullies you, to just deal with it and let them have the upper hand, and nothing will happen. Now, this is a PA youth football coach out of Conshohocken. Okay, Conshohocken is it's a suburb of Philadelphia. It's very close, just outside of the city. Kyle Williams, who's the coach of this team, and he's Torrey Smith's brother-in-law. Basically, he's now facing a $500 fine from the league because his team scored too many points in a game, and that basically he knew he was dangerously close to breaking the rules when his youth football team, the Conshohocken Golden Bears, went up 30-0. The rules of the Keystone Sports League, which features kids no older than 7, prevent a team from going up by more than 30 points. Less than 2 minutes left, I called a timeout because I wanted to pull the starters off the field, Williams said. I put the kids in there who normally never played. When none of the second stringers, a 5-year-old boy, got the ball, he ran towards the end zone. As Williams ran along the sidelines, repeatedly yelled for him to fall down. The boy, though, however, still scored, putting up the team 36-0. Now Williams is facing a suspension, Donnie, as a coach and a $500 fine. Donnie, first of all, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Kyle Williams doesn't make any money doing this.
No,
doesn't get anything out of this.
No, nobody gets paid for that stuff. No.
Right. This is Kyle Williams basically giving back to the community and saying, you know what? I have possibly a football background. Maybe I played. I'm going to go and help kids and try to maybe, again, Donnie, because as we know in this country, youth violence is at a huge level. There are too many kids that are killing other kids. And there are kids that are in terrible situations that need role models, Donnie. So what we do is we create football leagues that allow kids to have an avenue. Because at 7 years old, Donnie, that is prime time for people in neighborhoods that are not good to target young people and have them do stuff.
Yeah, but Conshohocken's actually a nice area, though. We're not even talking about the inner city.
Conshohocken, though, is also close, and maybe this is a place where you go and you take your kid out and you try to teach him the right way to be. All I'm saying is Kyle Williams is doing something for the community here. First of all, what the hell is going on here that you're going to actually allow this to – I mean, and Torrey Smith said it best. Torrey Smith tweeted about this stuff. He says basically, we are building weak children. The youth football team in my wife's hometown had a game today. They won 36-0. Da-da-da-da. Kids need to learn how to deal with failure, first of all. You don't want to get smashed, play better. Life doesn't let up. When it rains, it pours. Very true. The other kids can't give their all because there's a rule. Work hard, but not too hard. That's stupid. Number 4, it's hard to find youth coaches as it is, but you consider firing a coach and giving him a $500 fine. If you truly want to have a slaughter rule, simply stop the game. How do you coach a player knowing that you can't score? That's just stupid. This is pathetic, Donnie. This is disgusting and disgraceful. And this is where we are in this society. This is what we do. This is how we punish people, and this is disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's the commonality of the country and the way it's heading, where everything is offensive. When back in the day, nothing was offensive, and you could routinely get beat 65-0 and laugh at the other football team, and the other team moved on and still had their ice cream and pizza and wanted to play next week and do whatever they wanted. But you know what's interesting? Usually there's fail safes, and you're right. It should never get to that point because when you take a look at like baseball leagues, you know, if you're up 10 runs, the game, it's a wrap. As soon as you get up 10, it's over. See ya. We're not playing anymore, and that's the end of it. Once you get 28 points on the board, no matter how you get them, the game is over. Or you just say, you know what? Green team won over here. We're going to have a running clock. We're going to take down the scoreboard, put your backups in, and we'll have some fun out here and play some football. Why is the coach getting fined for this? And a ridiculous number. It's not like if you cross 59-0, then you're really running up the score.
First of all,
I don't get it.
A kid at that age, Donnie, all they know is scoring touchdowns is cool. They're going to score a touchdown regardless.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in my day in midget football at 55 pounds, we got laid the hell out on a Saturday. And I don't ever remember like, oh my God, I never want to play again. I never had that mindset, but the new youth today is very soft. So maybe they do have that mindset.
Let me ask you, Donnie, you played I played even youth football when I was a kid. I played till I was 12 or so. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't ever remember, not getting anywhere in life because I got beat 45-0 or 50.
Yeah.
I mean, did it affect you at all?
No, my first year of midget football in 1983, I had no idea even how to put my pads on and would cry if I got tackled. What the hell did I care about a score? Like, oh my God, I went to my first practice, I got tackled, it hurt, I cried, I never went back. No.
I remember I put mine on the wrong way and I was laughed at.
I had no idea. I was 5 years old and my mom got me. My dad wasn't around. They were divorced by that time. So I'm going to football practice with my mom trying to put on football pads for me. I had no idea what the hell was going on.
I want to make this clear. And there's a lot of people, including you, Donnie, that have kids. Yep. I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, as I get older, I'm into my 30s now, First of all, I want to give you all props for raising kids in this society. It's very difficult, and it's going to continue to get much more difficult. But I tell you right now, Donnie, I love kids. I think they're great. If I can help any kid, I'll help them. I think they're the greatest thing you could ever give to someone. But it makes things like this and seeing what the world is makes me not want to have kids. It's very difficult to raise kids. I remember even in my growing up. I mean, I was a little before a lot of these young kids, but I was difficult. And I tell my parents all the time, thank you for being the parents you were, because I feel like without you, I probably would not be right here right now. I guarantee that. So I tell you, Donnie, and everybody that has kids, good for you, because things like this are this would never happen in my house. If I'm playing football and my kid's playing football, you go out and you do what you got to do. I don't care what the score is. This is going to teach you to be a strong person when you get older. This is going to teach you how you don't want to feel. This is how you don't become a loser, Donnie. Losers accept mediocrity, Donnie. Yeah. Okay? They accept – listen, if you go out and if you're a victim of this and you do this, shame on you. If your kid plays Little League and they lose 7-0, shouldn't be telling your kid good job. Well, again, good work, whatever. But you got to teach your kid how to be better. It's just that simple. I don't know what else to say here. It's pretty disgusting, really.
Yeah, no, it's the way it is in this world and this society. So it is what it is.
But as you said, if you want, just cut the game. What do we need to continue playing for? Know, it's funny, Donnie, too. If this coach, let's say this coach is running down the sidelines, I'm sure he was in hands length to grabbing the kid.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
Why?
You can't come on the field and do something like that.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Think if he would have did that. Or just put his arm out, hey, stop, or run out, stop.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you're taught as a coach not to go out on the field, and so it's probably just you're in the heat of the moment. You're like, I can't go out on the field.
So what do you do? So you just
stop. Oh, he didn't, and figured that somebody would have been smart enough to where the commissioner of this midget football league would say something like, you know what, I was there, I saw it, or I got secondhand information that said, the subs were in and he's yelling for the kid to get down and he didn't. Come on, man. You know what I mean? So there's got to be a fail safe somewhere.
Right. All right. Let's move on here. It's scary raising kids in this world. Good point. Yeah, just a weird situation, but hopefully they pull that fine, Donnie, and don't let it stick.
Crazy.
For sure. All right, let's get into some football here. We'll start off with Donnie. Let's just get into this quick here. Troy, South Alabama. Okay, this is a game that is tonight. Definitely a tough matchup to watch as opposed to the one last week. At least it was a good matchup on paper, right? You get Troy laying 17, total 56.5. Troy, this numbers went up after the news that Caleb Barker would be playing tonight, the quarterback for Troy. Donnie, this is not a vintage Troy team. Neil Brown is come and gone. They're 2-3. They've had trouble at times defensively, but here's where I'll go with and tell you what I like. I like Troy in this game. I think this is a game they shouldn't have much trouble with. While Troy has struggled at times defensively, you look at in similar games against teams that are similar to what South Alabama is in Campbell and Akron, both which Troy played pretty well defensively. This South Alabama team is very slow tempo-wise. The quarterback is poor. They're not accurate. They can't particularly run the football. They're an offense that struggles. They're only scoring about 16.5 points a game. They're one of the worst offenses in the country. And this should be a team that Troy should be able to pin their ears back and get some stops against. They're on a comparable level to teams that they have played pretty well in the past. And you look at the 3 games that Troy struggled defensively. Look, I mean, all 3 of those teams are pretty damn good offenses with good quarterbacks, so it's not the end of the world. I think Troy at home here will be in a better position to actually handle this South Alabama team. Unless South Alabama connects on some big passes from Cephas Jackson, I just don't see them competing in this game. For what it's worth, Troy's actually been a pretty good offense this year. They've been able to move the ball really at will at times, and they're an offense now that goes really quick. This is really a clash in styles. You get a team in South Alabama that's really slow. They're really kind of, they just kind of go terrifically slow, and they don't want to move the ball. They want to kind of sit on it. Troy's going to get it, go quick. This looks to me kind of like the game last year, 38-17, maybe 35-14. I'd be willing to bet this really up to 3. I just don't think South Alabama is very good, and I think they're going to have a lot of trouble in this.
Yeah, Cephas Jackson. I mean, Cephas Johnson seems like he's been there forever. 50% completion percentage. You know how that works out, especially in college football. I mean, you're going to have a guy running around there trying to make plays, but then can't complete the pass. How many times have you bet on football teams and quarterbacks like that, Jeff, where it's like, second quarter, close football game, drop back to pass, guy wide open, and he just airmails it by like 8 yards because he has no touch whatsoever? That happens all the time. I agree with you here with Troy. Troy or nobody for me.
Yeah, you look at South Alabama, Donnie, a couple other things here. I mean, yards per play, just 4.2 yards a play. This team is, Donnie, 26% third down conversion rate. That's got to be towards, really near the lowest in the country. I mean, total completion percentage, 49.15%. They're also, Donnie, allowing their opponents to complete almost 66% of their third downs. This is also, Donnie, a team, if I think South Alabama has any success, it's got to be on the ground. They can't really throw the ball. This is a Troy team, 20th in the country in rushing defense. I have some real concerns here about South Alabama. I think we can agree this is the play. Donnie, definitely they're not a matchup I think we're running to watch or get involved with. But should be something to watch either way. I feel like the only time this game could be interesting is if you bet on it. So
no, I mean, look, midweek. I guess it's turns into the game of the night now because there's really nothing else going on. So
correct. Alex Ramirez, Nibiru is here. Time is running out. Alex, you seem like a weird cat, man. I don't know what is Nibiru, Donnie? Do you know what that is?
I think it's maybe a college football player that's coming back here and ready to join the forces.
Plays for Troy.
That's correct.
A mammoth receiver that no one can stop. Okay, Alex, whatever you say, pal. Makes a lot for the world to go around, right?
No, it certainly does, man.
All right, let's get into some weekend college football, Donnie. We got 3 matchups. Kind of keep our eyes on here. What do we got?
Let's start first here, Jeff. 9:00 Saturday night. UCLA and Stanford, Jeff. Seems like many times we talk about UCLA this year. What are we going to get out of the quarterback? Chip Kelly, can he turn it around? 307, 308 UCLA Stanford. And if we take a look at some of the market odds here, Jeff, 74% of the tickets heavy coming in on the Stanford Cardinal. That line actually opened up at 8 at Pinnacle, 8 at Chris, and it's down to 7 and 6.5. What's up?
Yeah, this game's actually tomorrow night.
Oh, it is. See, that's how much I'm following it all. Yeah, so tomorrow.
All good. No problem. Donnie, I surprisingly enough, I think Stanford is a totally different football team than what they were in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They defensively have gotten much better. They have really been good in the secondary. They've been limiting opportunities for the opposing team. And I think they found a quarterback in Davis Mills III. The problem is Davis Mills was injured late in the game against Washington and may or may not play in this game. Until I know the status of Davis Mills, I'm not getting involved. And this line looks as if Mills might not play. If he doesn't play, we have to kind of come back and figure that all out. But tomorrow we'll have a better idea of what's going on with Davis Mills. Look, if I can get a healthy Mills, I'm in. I really like what I saw out of this kid. I think he's their best option at quarterback, and I mean that. Whether it's KJ Costello, whoever, I really like this kid. He was terrific against a good defense in Washington. I don't seem to think he has any trouble against UCLA here. And at any rate, if he plays, I don't really mind what the number is. I think they'll win by double digits. UCLA has been a mess all season. We know how poor this team can be defensively. And you look at over the last 3 games, Donnie, UCLA giving up almost 44 points a game. They're off a game where they give up 48 to lowly Oregon State. This is a bad football team. They can't make a bowl game. They've, I think, completely quit. This is a shitty football team with a bad coach. I need to know that Mills is playing, but if he is, I'm in on UCLA very much here.
Jeff, what about the second game, 355, 356, Boise State and BYU? Is the black quarterback coming back for BYU, Jeff? Do we know this?
No, he actually got a concussion late in that game, and he may or may not
Did he play well? Did they win? Did they play well? How did BYU do?
They actually did win. He played pretty well, actually. I'm sorry, they didn't win. They lost 27-23. My fault. He actually played pretty well, though. Donnie, some interesting info on BYU. If Jaron Hall, which is his name,
Hmm?
if he doesn't play this week, that means they'll go with Baylor Romney. That's their third string quarterback.
I know the name.
He's not related to Mitt Romney.
So how can he not be related in Utah? Not the
He's actually from Carlsbad, California.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But he is Mormon, and he goes to BYU.
Mhm.
If he plays on Saturday, since 2010, Donnie, basically the first of the decade here, this will be the 11th quarterback BYU has started, which is quite amazing. That's a lot of quarterbacks in a 9-year period. You generally have, Donnie, a quarterback that plays 2 or 3 or 4 years at BYU. They have been incredibly unlucky at the quarterback position. And you have to wonder in this spot, it'd be nice to have Hall. You're at home. You're kind of a trendy underdog to some.
Shoot.
I'm not seeing it, though. This Boise team seems like a freight train right now. Whether it's – and they have their own problems.
Yeah, what a quarterback. That's what I thought. I saw the kid get banged up. Is he playing this week?
Yeah, Hank Buckmeyer. He's it's questionable. I've heard probably not, though. That means Chase Cord will be the quarterback. He actually played pretty well last week against Hawaii. And this is a Brigham Young team, Donnie, that this is not a vintage defense. They're not particularly good. This is a tough spot. And I've seen BYU falter in this spot. And I've also seen Boise kind of beat you up in this spot. I tried fading Boise a couple weeks ago against Air Force. Didn't work out particularly well for me. I like this group. I like Boise a lot. And Donnie, here's the thing that makes a backup quarterback succeed. If you have good skill position players and receivers, they have that. I think Cord could hold them down here for a week or two. I think they can go in and take care of Brigham Young. They just have too many quarterback problems. They don't have a defense they can really fall back on either.
Jeff, how about the next one, 421, 422, Michigan State and Penn State. Dia is probably excited for this one, Jeff. And why are you and Dia not going to this football game, I might ask?
Well, Dia has been to game. He's already been out there this year. I don't know that he likes particularly going to Happy Valley, nor do I. I'd much rather just sit in my house and watch this game. As I get older, Donnie, I've told you, I just hate going to games.
No, you're right. But Jeff, if you go, let's just say you had tickets, you and Ryan go to the game. Forget even like wearing Michigan gear or Penn State gear, whatever it is. I have a feeling like you would just walk around there in disgust and let people know how disgusted you were just to be there.
Yeah, I probably think before I got in there, I get banned. So. I mean, I would shred those people. So, yeah, it probably wouldn't be good for me. But, Donnie, as I look at this game more and more, I look at it and say, well, seems like kind of a big number, doesn't it?
It does seem like, I'm telling you, looking at this game, opens up, 7.5 goes to 9. My initial thought is too many points. That's just my initial thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think Michigan, I know they played subpar opponents in Illinois and Rutgers, but, is their defense found it? Or, Donnie, is their defense really going to be a consistent problem all season? Yeah. For what it's worth, Donnie, last week wasn't a great win over Illinois. Illinois moved the ball. I mean, they were – I think it was a 3-point game in the third quarter. I mean, Michigan hasn't exactly played well defensively.
Yeah, I think Michigan jumped out to a big lead, and all of a sudden, before you could blink, like here comes the Illini, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, I actually mentioned the over, and I considered taking it last week. I just was worried that Illinois would just get completely shut down, but they played really well. We saw down in that Wisconsin game, Michigan just looked lost on the defensive line. They couldn't stop anything. Yeah. There were a ton of just holes everywhere. And this is a Penn State team that can run the football. To me, though, I think Michigan is slightly better than Iowa. They have a better offense. They have a bit more competent player at quarterback. They should be able to move the ball. This seems like too many points to me, but I've learned with Michigan in big games to just kind of stay away from them. I think it's too many points, but for me to have some interest, I'm going to have to hope this gets to 10 personally before I get involved. It also looks – we've also seen these games, Donnie, where teams kind of look like this is a great spot. Like look at last week. Prime example, Oklahoma, Texas. This is just a great spot for the dog. Michigan, I'd have to look at how they do as an underdog. I don't know if they're as dynamic as like a Texas, but it does seem like too many points. I'm going to look and see where this line goes by Saturday, Donnie.
Yeah, I always like those games at night at Penn State, though. Pretty good theater to watch, and good opponent. And I gotta say, Jeff, I think we win. I think me and you win both ways. And forget about the gambling part of it. We win both ways because either Harbaugh's going to take a loss or Franklin's going to take a loss. You can't beat that. That's a great Twitter night for you, Jeff. Great Twitter night.
No, there will be a video of me laughing hysterically
at both,
regardless. Here's the thing for Michigan, Donnie. This is something that Penn State obviously has to deal with as well, but Michigan, I think it's a little bit more worrisome. If Michigan loses this game, season's over. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And that's where, I feel like, Don, if you feel like Michigan can win the game, why not just take them straight up? This game's either going to be a win for Michigan or they're going to lose 38-17. All right, couple comments here, and then we'll get into some NFL. Blake Walters, big man needs to make it to Greenville for an ECU game. I've talked about it. I do a radio spot with those guys. Really a cool situation, Donnie. Here's what I'll say about ECU fans, and I have a particular enjoyment for them. I think they're one of the great small market college football teams. Donnie, imagine being a media guy in ECU. You get paid a nice little salary. You got a nice little studio to go to. You just hang out and talk about sports all day. It's a nice little life. Greenville's a beautiful little town. It would never work for me. I think I'm kind of too much of a dick to live in a town like that. But I'd love to go to Greenville. The problem is it's hard to get there. You got to take a trip to Raleigh and then you got to drive. I'm going to try to make it down there for a Temple basketball game soon. We'll see. But I kind of also want to go to Memphis and watch Temple play. So it's like, do I go to Greenville and see my people, or do I go to Memphis and see a big-time glitzy, top team?
Yeah, I would go to Memphis.
It's tough. Big man hates Penn State's fans, but loves fans that eat horse shit, puke on children. Shut up, Chris. Shut up, dude. Shut up, dude. First of all, when have I ever said I like those kind of fans? You're just a shithead, so I don't expect anything different. You're a shitty New Yorker fan, so you just stick to your fucking Eli Manning love affair and leave me out of it. First of all, I've never commented that I like those fans. I never said that I like people that assault other fans. I don't know what you're talking about. You're just kind of projecting at this point and trying to get involved in the conversation. Michigan has been terrible as a road dog, but I agree it seems like too many points. Naeem, how you doing? I'd be surprised if Michigan scored more than 10 points. Wow. Seems like
it's one of those things where I'll bet Penn State if I see James Franklin locked up arm in arm with his offensive lineman running out of the tunnel. I'm going to be scared.
Boy, you better go to Memphis, watch the game, and eat some ribs.
Yes.
That won't happen.
I love ribs, man.
Ribs?
Ribs, wings. Come on, bring it on. Brisket. Nice brisket sandwich, Jeff.
None of that sounds particularly appetizing.
Some nice tangy barbecue sauce.
Ugh. Awful. All right, what else do we have? Let's get in, Donnie, to some NFL.
Yes.
And kind of delve into some of this stuff and head into week 7 already in the NFL. Couple of storylines here, Donnie. Marcus Mariota benched. Looks like they're going to go with Ryan Tannehill. Your thoughts on that?
I love the move. I absolutely love that move for the Titans. Not because they're going to win the division, Jeff. Not because they're going to, make a run at the Super Bowl. But for a short stint, Jeff, if you know what I mean, I like this move a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts. Obviously you've had trouble with Mariota at quarterback. It's time to shake it up a little bit, Donnie. Yeah. This is just I talked about it yesterday. We talked about it. This just isn't the right offense for Mariota. I hope he goes somewhere where he can maybe succeed.
What is his offense though? What would he be his offense at this point?
I think he's better in some kind of zone read kind of offense.
Would he need Kliff Kingsbury? Maybe to just say, hey, I got to be in this offense?
Maybe Sean McVay, Frank Reich, somebody like that.
By the way, speaking of that, Kyler Murray in that offense, have you watched any Cardinals football this year for an extended period of time?
It's very college-like.
Dude, he is. I don't know. If they ever get it right, I want to say, on the Cardinals, and I don't know how. The same thing we talked about Lamar Jackson yesterday. I don't know how it's going to work long term because he is tiny. But Jesus Christ, when it's 3rd and 5, how do you defend those offenses, man? I just don't get it.
I'll tell you, Donnie. I watched that game last week. I had I'll tell you one thing. The gift that keeps on giving, Donnie, is Atlanta Falcons overs.
Yeah.
It's great. But I watched that game last week, and he's a good player, man. I mean, he's an interesting kid. I mean, he's small. I mean, he's going to get hurt sooner or later, but he's just like a better version of Johnny Manziel, kind of.
I mean, he's accurate. Then one thing that you like about, because usually the young quarterbacks just run around, because he's a way better passer than Lamar Jackson is. Like, he knows the back shoulder fade, put it in the right spot, like tight windows. He's pretty impressive to watch. But again, I don't know how this translates long term yet.
I mean, you got to hope, Donnie, that's kind of like a situation. And I'm not saying he'll be Tom Brady, but you got to hope it's a situation kind of like that where Bill's just had Tom Brady his entire career. They've worked well together. It's worked out. Because if Kliff Kingsbury gets, cut, where does he go? I mean, that offense is very Chip Kelly-like. Eventually, it's going to get figured out.
Yes, like this isn't like, he's going to take a snap under center, drop back 5 steps, and deliver the ball. That's not what he does,
I guess, though, Donnie, for at least the foreseeable future, at least the next year or two, bring some excitement to the desert. They haven't been particularly fun to watch. But they're fast. I mean, they run really quick offenses, and it's a fun offense to check out. But I need to see Mariota somewhere else. I'm not ready to say he's a failure because I just don't think he's in a particularly good situation in Tennessee. It's kind of a plodding offense that you need to maybe a quarterback like Ryan Tannehill to run it and be better.
Yeah, he was brutal because I was watching the tape last week, like that last draw. Because if you came in like most people, hey man, like 7 touchdowns, no one. He was so brutal last week, and they had no choice but to yank him out of the game. And it wasn't even away from Jeff. What was it, like 13? I think it was 13-0 when he came in, which is nothing for a starting quarterback. Like, you let your quarterback go through that, and he was brutal last week. No choice.
Kyler Murray last week against the Atlanta Falcons, 340 yards, 3 touchdowns, 73% completion.
And look what he's working with on offense. Larry Fitzgerald.
I'm not sure I can name another receiver they have outside.
That's what I mean. Like, Christian Kirk is like their best, he hasn't played in 2 weeks. They got Scherfeld at wide receiver. And it's like a bunch of absolute nobodies. And they move the football up and down the field with ease.
Mariota in Chicago would be interesting.
I think for anybody in Chicago. I mean, that's like the hot topic.
I just want them to get a quarterback because I think they'd be probably the best team in the league if they could get a quarterback.
If you had just put like Dak Prescott on like on these Bears, like they would destroy everybody. You know what I mean? Competent, a guy who can take a snap and throw an accurate pass, and they would dominate the NFL. It's great.
How would Gardner Minshew do on the Bears?
Yeah, way better than what they got.
Falcons could be the worst D in the NFL. No, they are. I've said that before. They're the worst defense in the league. It's not close. They are lost on defense, which sets up an interesting game this week, Donnie, which we'll get to later in the week, and Falcons-Rams. We'll get to that. A couple other storylines, big injury news out of Philadelphia and out of Dallas. Donnie, I don't know if you've ever listened to this station around here. I got to tell you, I think stacked up radio station-wise, there might not be, to me, a better station from a news reporting station than 97.3 in Atlantic City. I mean that.
Do you get that out where you live, though? I don't even get that where I live.
I don't, but I listen to it online, and they post all their interviews on YouTube.
Yeah.
And they got this guy, Donnie. His name's John McMullen. It's an older guy.
I think he actually lives right on the corner from me, to be honest with you.
He's really good, Donnie.
Yeah. He's on Twitter. He actually doesn't get a lot of like retweets and stuff, but he's a verified guy. I think I read an article from him today on Jalen Ramsey as well. I know what you're talking about.
He's a smart guy. He says what he feels. He can be kind of pringly at times, like the way he is.
Is he a host or what is
no, they have him on every day.
Calls it in? Yeah, like
they have him on every day. He does like a 20-minute spot on like the
NFL
Eagles
stuff. Yeah,
and he was talking about how, and his injury news is always good. Like, it always seems really strong. He was saying yesterday that the likelihood of Ramsey playing is, or not Ramsey, Deshaun Jackson is very low.
Yes, correct.
He ain't playing this week.
Correct. Read the tea leaves.
This again becomes a long-standing issue with this team of like, why does it take so long for these guys to come back? It's weird. So that means he won't play. But you look at Dallas, Donnie, likelihood is Cooper won't play either. Seems like a bigger loss for Dallas as opposed to the Eagles. They seem like they can at least move the ball without Deshaun.
Yeah, word out of Dallas, Jeff. And this isn't just like could be or maybe. This is trending toward happening. Sunday without Amari Cooper, without Randall Cobb, without Tyron Smith, without La'el Collins, without Byron Jones, without Anthony Brown. Tyrone Crawford, I believe, is already on IR, and Dorrance Armstrong. Like that's not like they didn't practice today. We're giving them rest days. This is like we don't even think they're going to play or might not play this weekend.
I just want to say this, Donnie.
Yeah.
Have I bet a lot against the Eagles or on the Eagles? No. I bet against them once, actually, and I won. But I've been pretty good at these foreshadowing, are the Eagles going to win this week?
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd win last week. Didn't think they'd win the week before. And they won the week before and didn't win last week. I actually believe they are going to go into Dallas and win. I think they're in a better situation right now. I think the rubber has met the road with this defense. It can't be much worse. Okay, you got to only go up from here. And you're going to get guys back. Darby should be back. He's at least competent. And again,
when's he coming? I haven't even. When's he coming back? A couple weeks.
What McMullen said, Darby should be active this week, from what they said. Now Mills, they says he'll be active as well. How much he plays, we know the Eagles have a reasoning for whatever putting guys out there, not playing them. It's weird, but. To be blunt, Donnie, I think they beat the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have too many issues right now. I think they have too many injuries that are to big players. The Garrett stuff, it seems like there's a rift developing between players and Garrett. I think for the first time in a long time, I've actually wondered how long is Garrett going to last there. And that's never seemed possible just because he is a Jarrah guy and he listens to what Jarrah says. What do you think here? I kind of like the Eagles. In this
it should be, and you should be right. But you know what I keep getting back to now? It's almost like a shell shock theory where I say, all right, let's just say a couple guys are down in the offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. They end up blocking the Eagles' pass rush. And if Amari Cooper plays and he's healthy, there is nobody to defend the guy. Like if Amari Cooper starts, like if I hear Amari Cooper's playing this weekend, pencil him in for 8 for 150 and 3 scores. He will detonate the Eagles secondary. And that's what I'm scared of. If he's not playing, then I'm going to be more invested in the Eagles. But if a decent wide receiver lines up against the Eagles, he will destroy that secondary all by himself. Wide open. What are we doing? Double coverage. 3rd and 9. Holding penalty because we can't, we keep the guy within 5 yards of the guy. It's unbelievable.
It's funny, Donnie, because you have two teams here that I think from a public perspective and perception is neither of these teams are worth backing. I mean, you have major issues on both sides. Eagles just lose to the Vikings, get their clock cleaned. Dallas loses to the lowly Jets. You got the Zach Brown stuff. You got the Peterson stuff. You have Jason Garrett with his issues.
Yeah, Jason Peters probably is going to miss this football game, which is no big deal. But then it limits you where if Dillard goes down, then we're talking about like Big V and is Bradham going to play this weekend because we're down to Nate Gary and some dudes you never even heard of.
Here's the thing. With the exception of the secondary, and most notably the corners, Donnie, I think this team's pretty solid, personally. I think they've had some trouble, and they need to catch the football. And I'm going to say this before. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, Donnie. Zach Ertz is one of the most overrated players in the NFL. I will continue to say that until the wheels fall. Donnie, he's overrated. He's not that good a player. He just isn't.
He is. He's a top 5 tight end in the NFL. They're good players, man. Yes, who's better? You got 5 guys better than Zach Ertz at tight end. Stop it.
There's not a lot of good tight ends in the NFL, Donnie.
Zach catches like 100. What do you have, like 120 catches last year?
He's brittle. He can't take a hit. He doesn't get any.
He plays every week.
I don't like the guy.
You don't like the guy.
He disappeared last week. Where was he? Where's Goddard? Throw the ball to him. I like him. I like Goddard a lot.
Yeah, no, he's a big mismatch, but it just seems like they have a like that position. You don't know how to use Goddard, and I don't know. Some things are already getting.
But Donnie, in this spot, seriously, who do you trust more? We talked about it yesterday. Wentz, that receiving core, and Jordan Howard and Miles Sanders, or Dak Prescott, Elliott, and who the hell ever they throw out at receiver. Because
I mean, look, it makes sense for the Eagles. It makes sense. Yeah, Witten stinks. It makes sense for the Eagles to win this football game. It does. But I've been like Michael Gallup, 7 catches, 122 yards, and 2 scores. We can't cover the guy. Like, we're so bad at, like, if you have just competent quarterback play, the Eagles would roll in this football game. And it's the same way you take a look at, let's just say, like Minnesota Vikings this week, Jeff, versus the Detroit Lions. Oh, Minnesota, look at that. They just got to go win the game. But the touchdowns that Minnesota scored on the Eagles are not going to be scored against Detroit because they're competent in the secondary.
Is it competent? You say corner or quarterback?
Corner.
Oh, corner. Yeah.
We're not competent in that position at all. We're
Here's the thing,
at it.
Here's the thing, and I want to make this clear, okay? The last 2 weeks, the Philadelphia Eagles have started Sidney Jones, Craig James, Orlando Scandrick, and Rasul Douglas. They've been the 4 corners. You're going to get Darby back. Mills, I got to figure Donnie can do something better than
talking
Sidney
about
Jones.
A guy with, but here's the thing: you're talking
Sidney
about
Jones got benched last week.
But you're talking about a defensive back in Jalen Mills, who I do like because he's physical. He's not the greatest cornerback, but he is a decent cornerback. So I'm led to believe that this guy hasn't played football in a year with a foot injury. Is he even healthy enough to play? Can he even go on turf and play an NFL game?
I think he's ready. I think he's been rehabbing and ready to go for a while. But Donnie, I heard something as well yesterday from McMullen. He said that Jim Schwartz, it was the first time in a long time he's seen Jim visibly irritated with the players. Because a lot of it is just coverage issues. They're not doing the things.
It's not teaching. It's not like getting burned on a double move in the end zone. Like Jim Schwartz has to throw his hand. It's like, that's not even something we comprehend. Like, you should just be a football player at that point and understand where you're at on the field.
And that's
impossible.
And that's why for me with this team, I find it for the first time in a long time, I've never seen Peterson and Schwartz visibly and from a speaking perspective, they're actually calling play. I've never seen that happen with them before. Yeah. And it's interesting that they're not going out and getting someone because it's like, I just don't think these guys are good enough. You know, it's like, but yeah, the whole thing from Peterson that they got rid of Brown because he didn't fit what they're doing. He
didn't buy him. There's something wrong with it because he obviously was a bust player, which they brought in, which is funny. Who's the other guy they were supposed to bring in? But that's just the typical Eagles there. We're going to throw a lot of bodies at cornerback and hope somebody works out, and nobody's surprised that it never works out that way.
I got to wonder also, why was Jordan Hicks not re-signed? Can you explain that?
Well, I mean, he gets injured a lot. He got a big money contract. Linebacker's not that important in the NFL at this point because you're in nickel and dime so many times you really can't, unless you have like a C.J. Mosley who's going to play on third down, or the guys Wagner in Seattle. Unless you have that, it really doesn't make that much sense anymore. I used to agree with you though.
I'll say this though, I like Brown. I would have kept him here. I don't think it hurts to keep him around. It's good depth either way, and he's better than probably every linebacker but Bradham probably. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to one or two more here. Tomorrow, Donnie, I don't want to go into this in depth because I do want to talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we have a game here with the Broncos and Chiefs where a lot of sharp action coming in on Denver here.
Agree.
And this is a good spot. I'm starting to kind of like this Denver Bronco football team. First of all, we know the Chiefs can't stop the run.
Nope.
This is a bad defense. And this is an offense that's starting to show a little bit of a crack. And Donnie, this would be my greatest work. Now, Michelangelo, Donnie, has some of these great works of art.
Sistine Chapel, yeah.
Sure. Pablo Picasso, Vincent Van Gogh, Cezanne, all these guys. They have these great works of art. Banksy.
I was going to say the same thing.
My great work of art, Donnie, could be saying the Chiefs wouldn't make the playoffs. That could be my great work of art.
This could go a long way Thursday night.
No, I know. It could go a long way. And Donnie, is Denver sitting in the weeds and saying, you know what? We don't have a great quarterback, but we have a good enough quarterback. We have a really good running back, a Phillip Lindsay, who most of you can't touch because he's just tougher than most of you.
He is good.
We have a pretty good group of young wide receivers. And our defense, by the way, Donnie, 7 sacks last week, 3 interceptions. Vic Fangio starting to show his chops as the defensive coordinator. Throw in the fact that you got to go to Denver and play. This is a real mighty nice spot for a doggy here.
I mean, you're taking a look at Kansas City, and again, the recency bias you have to take out. Like, oh my God, Chiefs only 3. I got to take the Chiefs. Look at Patrick Mahomes. You have to take that out because when you look at the defense, what the Chiefs do, Jeff, horrific rushing the quarterback. So what's always the panic mode that I always get mad at Joe Flacco? If you can hit that robot in the pocket, he's going to make mistakes. If you can't get to the robot, he can be effective. And how about the worst, or one of the worst, rushing defenses? So now you're going to tell me we can't rush the passer and we can't stop the run? And then you flip it over and say, oh, Denver, they lost. It's a shame Denver lost Chubb. They have a top 5, top 10 defense that should be able to handle a really banged up and maligned offense over there for the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, look at the lines. Jeff, open up 5.5 at Chris. It's an even 3 right now, and I completely agree with it.
If they win this game tomorrow night, if I'm Denver, you know what I'm doing?
You're shipping out Harrison Von Miller to the Eagles?
I'm running the ball 50 times tomorrow night. I'm
you're right. You do not engage. It's such a good point you bring up too, Jeff, because you go into this football game as Denver. You do what you do. Let's play defense. Let's run the football. You don't all of a sudden say, hey, let's go toe-to-toe with Mahomes.
Keep the ball out of their hands.
Yep.
I'm Navy tomorrow if I'm them. Mm-hmm. I'm running the ball pretty much every play.
Freeman, blast off with Lindsey, yes.
And what that's going to do occasionally is open up Noah Fant. It's going to open up Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, and Sutton's had a great year. Emmanuel Sanders has a really good year. You're right. And next week, Jeff, they're going to get back Juwan James, their tackle that they paid a ton of money for. And after that, hopefully I don't know what the hell's going on with Bryce Callahan's foot, but if he can ever make it back, this is a decent football team. And they got some really bad breaks to start the season in some of their games.
Royce Freeman coming out of the backfield to catch the football.
Yes.
I'll tell you right now, we're getting the worst number possible. I've talked about it, though. This could be a pretty – Donnie, here's what I'm doing tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And I mean this. I might actually bet this.
Mm-hmm.
Denver plus 9.5.
Mm-hmm.
UCLA – or Stanford pick'em against UCLA.
Yeah.
Give me Davis Mills healthy. That ain't losing.
Yeah.
But I like the 3.5 either way. Give me that field goal. Sucks I'm not getting a better number, but I look at this game, Donnie, a lot like that Green Bay-Detroit game.
And also, I think Fuller as well, Jeff. Fuller had the broken thumb last week in the secondary for Kansas City. I don't think he's playing tomorrow night either. Like, they have nobody. Who's their playmaker on defense? What, Tyrann Mathieu? Come on, man.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
The only worry I have is Denver's offensive line. I don't love them, but.
No, but you'd be surprised though, because they don't have that good. Let me just take a look at some numbers here. Offensive line average, but they really make up for it. Like what they do not really well. You can still push around that Kansas City defense.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Really excited about it. I mean, this card looks pretty good this week. You got Rams and Donnie. Let me ask you, how does that game go? Rams, Falcons. You have a team in the Rams that I think we know can move the ball. But can the guy throwing the football move the football? You're also going to have a defense that's going to all of a sudden have a really good corner. But this is a Falcons team, Donnie, that offense hasn't been the issue.
Yeah.
And they're at home. I got to tell you, until the Falcons and the team they play don't score 60-plus points, I'm not going to stop betting overs. I mean, this team makes every offense look really good.
Yeah, we'll see if we get maybe good, because it was interesting because I think Malcolm Brown, the backup running back, had like 35 yards or 40 yards on the first drive of the game for a touchdown and doesn't even get any yards after. That was a really maddening game to watch, like looking at the actual Rams offense saying, what the hell's going on?
Here's what's going to have to happen. And we know McVay will oblige us here because he's done it before. He doesn't have a problem getting into a shootout.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to. Yeah. Atlanta's a good offense. They have good receivers, and Donnie, they don't run the ball at all.
They can't run the ball, which is astounding.
They're
like
literally
Freeman is like a dude in cinder blocks, which actually helps the over because they have to throw to score.
This is the greatest thing to see, Donnie, when you're betting overs in the NFL. Okay, you want to look at pass run percentage, right?
Yeah.
You look at Atlanta, okay, and this is crazy because it's almost unheard of. It's like a Big 12 offense, Donnie. Yeah. Passing play percentage for Atlanta, 70.1%, which surprisingly enough is actually the second highest in the NFL. But, I mean, they love – at home they're throwing it 75% of their plays, they're throwing it.
Yeah.
That's what you want to see when you're betting overs, Donnie. And how healthy is Ramsey? Does he even play,
He plays. He's healthy. He's never even been injured. So I think he's just going to go right over, get energized, and suit up, which is a lot, which is a shame because, it's kind of funny where you get caught up. We watch like lines and movement all the time and we love information. I got to tell you, yesterday, I saw Marcus Peters get dropped, Jeff, and I went right to my odds board and I was saying, even though I didn't really cap it thoroughly yet since it's still on Tuesday, but I'm just like running numbers in my head going, no Talib, no Peters, really good passing offense, nobody to check Julio. This game could go. And then like an hour later, they get Ramsey. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, if they just dumped Peters for a draft pick, oh, my God.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's a good point by you.
Because, if Jaylin looks in, he's probably ready to go, and he's going to make a difference if he lines up on Julio. If he wasn't in this football game, they just run roughshod, don't they?
I think they still do. I mean, they're a tough offense to prepare for.
Yeah.
Donnie, couple points here before we go. The Seattle Mariners are now the only team in Major League Baseball to not go to the World Series. You hate to see that.
Yeah. It's
Even
a big market, though, Jeff.
Yeah, right. Question for you, Donnie. I actually really liked this point when I heard it. I actually retweeted it. I thought it was that good of a point. No one in Philadelphia will point out the elephant in the room. Frank Reich is a better coach than Doug Peterson. Do you agree with that?
No, not yet. Anyway,
no. I think Reich's the best coach in the league.
I mean, well, I got to see it on the field. He's got to do something with that team. You know, I mean, don't get. I like Frank. You're coming like at the runs. Oh, I love Frank Reich. Why would he be better though?
I mean, Doug Peterson. I think he just had one really. He's like Brad Lidge. I feel like. I kind of look at him.
I don't know. I mean, actually, it's got to play out.
Right, let me ask you,
only
Donnie,
been here a couple
right
years
now. There's an amazing thing that can happen in the NFL. Right now, you can completely cut Doug Peterson, and he can get paid, and he's very happy for the rest of his life. And you can get Frank Reich to come to Philadelphia and be
it's too early for that, though, because the players love Doug Peterson, man. Like, there's something to go along with that.
You don't think they like Reich, too?
Well, no, I'm not going to say. I'm saying I love Frank Reich, but I'm not ready to do that just yet.
Okay.
Now, if we're talking about like you want to get rid of Mike Tomlin for Frank Reich, yes, of course I do.
Okay. So you wouldn't do the deal if
not yet. No, maybe 2 years we'll reevaluate, but right now it's too fresh, man.
Okay. Couple other things, and we'll wrap it up. Trent Brown, Raiders offensive tackle, yes. Donnie, accused of domestic violence. This is a continued problem, Donnie, for the Oakland Raiders. They continue to have off-the-field issues.
Now, here's the question, though, with this, again, because this is – and most people aren't deviant by nature. Like, if you're assaulted, you're probably not lying about it. But I have a really problem, Jeff, where I see these come out where it's a lawsuit and it's a not a criminal lawsuit. You know, you're just looking to – get paid, and what's the word? What's the lawsuit I'm looking for? Why can't I come up with the name? A
civil suit.
Civil suit, yes. You sexually harassed me, civil suit. Like, why? If you're that mad, or if it really did happen, the money shouldn't matter to you. You should just be like, dude, I want you to go away and lose your job and go to jail. You know?
Yeah, I see. I hear what you're saying. Definitely. We got to hear the facts. I mean, again, I think we always want to side with the woman here. No one's going to say that, but let's hear the facts. Let's make sure everything. But again, it really doesn't matter in the NFL. I mean, you can break your kid's arms and play again in the NFL.
As long as there is no video and you have a good lawyer, you're set. You're straight in the NFL. You're good.
Let me ask you, Donnie.
Yeah.
And this is a fascinating conversation I want to ask you about. Let's say O.J. Simpson, hypothetically, allegedly killed his wife and Ron Goldman during his playing years.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Let's just say he does. Does the NFL let him back in?
No.
He got found not guilty.
No. He would be like that. Like was like, you know.
But you can't prevent it. He didn't do it.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be playing during it though. You know what I mean?
But no, let's say he's completely,
No, he would never come back. No, because people.
Even though he was one of the best players in the league.
Yes, like let's just say he was 24 years old and did that. He would never.
But he didn't do it. He got off. It's like he didn't do it.
It would never. They would never let.
How do you prevent him though? He didn't do anything wrong.
They would just break him off a couple $100,000, like they for a couple million.
Okay.
Like they cap
So you don't think he would?
Back. No, nobody would.
I mean, we've let Ray Lewis play again, didn't we? He was in the same situation.
No, but he wasn't the guy murdering though. He was
he was involved.
A witness to whatever.
But Dante Stallworth killed somebody.
That was a bad one. That was
a
joke. Yes, because I think they paid off the family.
I don't know how you prevent him, to be real honest.
Yeah, there's no way he would be able to do that.
Okay. One more, Donnie.
Yeah.
An Alabama student was accused of making a bomb threat at LSU Stadium, waives extradition. Court documents released Tuesday indicated a University of Alabama student was accused of making bomb threats against Tiger Stadium. I tell you this, we don't need any bombs. We're going to beat them in the stadium right here in a couple of months, John Michael Griffin.
What do we do? What'd you do? Freeze up, big man? The big man's frozen. So look, this is going to be my show now.